welcome beautiful souls to another episode of the Spiritual Catalyst podcast, where we talk about all things weird and woo. I am your host, Sarah Lyons, the founder of newerschool.com.au, and today we have Soodabeh Mokry with us to talk about how to connect with your angels. Now, Soodabeh is an Amazon #1 best-selling author of Emerging You and the author of the immigration memoir, Angel Nightingale. She is a motivational speaker, certified hypnotherapist, Reiki master, and transformational coach for high-performing women. Soodabeh inspires her patients, clients, audience, and readers to a new level of understanding of the resilience of the human spirit and inspires them on to take action. Soodabeh, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I am so glad we were able to connect. I'm so excited.
Me too, me too. I'm so excited to learn more from you about how to connect with your angels. Maybe we can start for the audience with why this is beneficial to connect with our angels.
Yes, definitely. I am going to go just a little bit simple thing about
Sure.
why and
Yes.
how I get here that I found out why it is so important to connect with our angels
Yeah.
and also whether if everybody has an angel or not.
Cool.
So, yes. Uh, Answering the question because people ask me, do I have an angel? And the answer, the first starting with that, yes, everyone, from the moment that we are born with at least one or two guardian angels that they are with us from the moment that we are born, and they help us transition when we go to the spirit world. So that is the first thing that I want to everyone to know. And the reason that I am here and speaking about angels, and this is one of my passion and also life purpose, it started from the time that I was a little girl and I grew up. I am originally from Iran and I moved to America about 33 years ago. When I was growing up, my mom was very strict. She was a teacher, and everything for her, she wanted, us to be good kids and successful. Her communication was not really up to par to say, well, yes, you are amazing and all of that. So with those kind of communication, I personally perceived that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't beautiful enough, and
Yeah.
all the enoughness, I was not any of them. So I grew up with the mentality that I couldn't do anything. I learned about angels, I learned about God, I learned about the spirituality, and I was really blessed to grow up in a family that my family, they were very spiritual. I remember my everybody, they were talk about psychic, they were talking about we would go to psychic, somebody to do the reading for us. My cousins, they were literally would pray and do automatic writing and all of that. I did not want to part of any of, like, no, this is not for me. It is about ghosts. I am afraid of them.
Mm. Mhm.
I didn't know that I was able to see and hear and feel when our angels and also our loved ones, because I experienced a lot of loss in
Mhm.
our life. So
Mhm.
from my grandparents, and I lost my father when I was 13 years old. That took me into a long journey of depression,
Mm.
and I even lost myself even more and more into that not good enough. I became right after the college. It happened there for those of people that know about the history of Iran. The revolution took place in '79. and the new crazy government came over, and they wanted their own ideas of how people have to be, act, as far as religious belief and everything, and it made it really difficult for everyone.
Mm.
I was a nursing student, and I'm gonna let you, Sarah, to ask questions, so I don't want to be the one that talk all of these
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
But all of these things that I am explaining, it really has a point where I am going.
Mhm.
I wanted to always, growing up, it is so funny because I always wanted to be either a doctor or a teacher. I had no idea where those thoughts came to me. I couldn't pass after graduated from high school, couldn't be pass the medical exam because there was a limited small space, and lots of people wanted to go to college and become a doctor. My mom, who was a teacher, suggested, why don't you, because they go by the scores that we have.
Mhm.
And she said, you have a lot of good scores as far as you can go to nursing school. And I said, okay. So I decided to go to nursing school, and I really fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I felt I found my passion, my life purpose. When I would take care of my patients, I would feel that I was home.
Mm.
In that situation, I was working night shift, and if one of our patients had an issue, I would all of a sudden, I knew which part of their body they had issues, what kind of test they needed, and all of that. So we would call, and the doctor would come, and they were just scratching their head, trying to figure out. And I would, I was really shy, and with that concept of not good enough, I would suggest, without me trying to tell the doctor how to do their job, I would say, should we just do that? Should we do this x-ray? Should we this, that? And I would get frustrated, Sarah, because I would say, why? I know all of these answers and the
Mhm.
doctors don't know.
Mhm.
I didn't know anything about that. I was channeling, I was getting information from my angels
Wow.
until many years later that I moved to America. And when I was 19 years old and I was going through nursing school, the crazy government, they decided that they want to close all the universities and the colleges because they wanted to expel the students, the professors, and
Wow.
everyone that was not following their
Oh.
uh, thing, their ideology of how people
Mhm.
have to act. So we decided, peaceful demonstration, going to have an, say, you cannot close the colleges and university, and, um, trigger warning for people. I am just going to go a little bit deeper in my
Mhm.
journey, that I was captured, I was tortured and beaten into a coma.
Wow. That's crazy.
I, yes, I was only 19 years old, and I was in coma for about a week. None of my family knew where I was. And after a week, I woke up, and without knowing where I was, and I am not going to go into that because part of that is part of my books. And
Mhm.
I wanted to really talk about angels and not my story per se. But because I was an activist and everything that trying to fight for freedom and democracy, there was a time that I got married and I had a 4.5-year-old son, and I was 7 months pregnant when my husband, who was actually an activist as well, decided to leave Iran because it was really difficult for us to live there. Our life was in danger, and he moved to America. 3 years before I was able to come because I was pregnant and all of that. And by the time I got here, after so many things that went wrong, and 3 years of waiting and not knowing when I can come and join him, when I came here, I found out that he already had a life.
Mm-hmm.
About a year, couple of years after, waiting, my brother, who was 1 year and a half younger than me, he was married. They had a 4.5 year old son, and his wife was pregnant 7 months. So he said, "Why don't I go get the passport and take you to Turkey and take you to American embassy because we didn't have it in Iran. And that way you can, maybe they can feel sorry for you for 2 kids and they can go." And he passed away in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
And the day, and that is when how I have my whole spiritual awakening that happened.
Yes. Yeah.
The day that he passed away, I had no idea.
Mm.
I came home from working as a nurse in a hospital, and I had my little girl in my arm to soothe her to sleep, when all of a sudden I feel like I dozed off. I closed my eyes and I saw a dead body of a man. That's all I
Mm.
knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea my brother was gone by that time. His accident was 7:30 in the morning, and he passed away around 10 o'clock. And here at 3 o'clock, whether it was my angels were telling me, whether it was he came, because we know that when somebody transition is not that fast that they can come and show us, that's from what I have learned. And I had that vision, and that it was the beginning of my spiritual journey,
Mm.
which started with a lot of questioning,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of anger, a lot of resentment of why God showed me something that I had no
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
And many through one that guided, helped everything for me to leave Iran a couple of months after that and come here and find out that my husband was not my husband anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
here I'm left alone with 2 little kids, no money, no family, no support system. I couldn't even speak the language.
Mm.
So the whole concept of, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Nothing makes sense. I cannot go back to Iran. I am not going to do that. I came here to have a life. What should I do? And I tried to end my life because I thought at the moment that my life was not worth living anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people that they feel at some point in their life that life is not worth living, I just want them to know that there is hope for all of us. Because when I did not succeed to do what I was deciding on my own, that I wasn't good enough to live, then I thought, okay, God, show me the way.
Yeah.
And through everything, watching Oprah, every time I would come home, and well, I have to go back to school, get my nursing degree, became a nurse and all of that. But in the midst of all of that, then every time that I was watching TV, something came about angels, something came about the spirituality. And I also, all the people that they weren't even my family. I didn't have a family here. And I call them angels
Yeah.
because the angels, heavenly angels, can send the human angels
Yes, absolutely.
to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in that I decided, okay, let me find out why God showed me something. And one thing after another, I started learning about angels. So one of the most beautiful stories, the way that, because I hired a coach and someone, I said, I need to learn from somebody. I have read books and everything. Let me just learn from someone who knows what I need to do. And I found out, discovered that I was a healer and I work with angels. Okay, what am I going to do? So I am working in the middle of the night in a hospital, and here comes that I would be assigned to patients that they were really in a bad condition,
Yeah.
that they were actively dying, transitioning. They were in
Mm-hmm.
pain. They were hooked to a monitor so everybody could see. I would go to their rooms, and all of a sudden I would feel the temperature of the room changed, and I would feel in not in a physical way to see the angels, but I could feel that there is a presence of something in the room. And I would get like intuitively, like a thought comes to my head, like put your hands on this patient. And when I would do that, then their breathing will calm down, their blood pressure will calm down, and they would feel peaceful. They weren't moaning from pain and everything. I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that, and I'm getting goosebumps. My body is frozen right now. That every time I think about those moments and I talk about it, and they would, the next night or that I would go to work, I would realize that they already transitioned. So all of those patients would transition less than 24 hours, and they needed me, the angels, God, source, universe, higher power, whatever we call it. They wanted me to be there to help them transition.
That's beautiful.
Any questions so far?
That's really, really beautiful. And I think this is so good for the listeners to hear. When we think about connecting to our angels, sometimes we have an expectation in our mind that it's like we should be sitting in the same room as the angel having a face-to-face conversation, but they come through in such different ways, feelings and knowing. So thank you for sharing this. And for the listeners that are wondering, what would it be like for them to connect with their angels? What would be, what would you recommend for them?
That is a great question, Sarah. I remember when I was working with my coach, she would help me to take me through the guided meditation.
Yeah.
And that's how I work with my clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I remember, it's she took me in a room because for the life of me, all of these experiences, I couldn't hear the name of my angels. And I would sit and sit and sit and come on, angels, please tell me what is your name?
Mm.
And then I couldn't. So she took me, she said, of course you have angels. Everybody has angels. I said, but I don't know their name. So one of the most beautiful thing that I discovered the name of my angels was during one of those meditations, she took me in a room that there was a blackboard in it. And she said, what do you see on that board? And my angels literally communicated with me 3 different ways, writing on that board. One was her name. Her name is Rose. She wrote
Beautiful.
Rose in English.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote the name Rose in my language, Persian, and she drew a picture of a red rose.
That is so beautiful.
Everybody can communicate. We do have our angels. And the importance of having angels in communicating and believing in them and knowing them. We're not worshiping angels. We're communicating because God, Creator, created angels because he knew, or she, God, goddess, for anybody that believes it, knew that living in physical form is, because we are here as a spirits, powerful spirits, but we're living in physical form. We are here to learn, to grow, to evolve. And those life lessons, or the challenges that we call it, or the roadblocks, and every single thing that I experienced in life was here for me to show me that I have a purpose. And that little girl that wasn't good enough or smart enough, or nothing was good about her, came here. I had to literally move. They moved me. They saved my life to be here so I can speak about this topic.
Absolutely.
So I can help people believe that, because when we have our angels, I mean, in my life as a nurse, I have been a nurse for 42 years. I am old. But when people look at me like you don't look old. And so if you want
Mm-hmm.
longevity, connect with your
Yes,
angels.
absolutely. Oh
So
my gosh.
knowing and working with angels has helped me to, because I connect with them in the morning, and I have every night. And that connection has allowed me as a nurse, and you don't have to be a nurse or medical professional or anything to create that safe space for my patient. I used to work as a home health nurse for many years. When I would go there, it was me and my patient. It allowed me, if there was something wrong with my patient, I would know, so I can call the hospital, send them to hospital, or do that. As a mother, as a parent, as a wife, as a husband, as a partner, as a financial advisor, as a coach, we need to have that connection with the spirit, with our angels, so they can guide us, because that is their purpose. Their purpose is to guide us to have a great life, to have a healthy life, to have a wealthy life, to have all the forms of abundance that we are seeking. It is available for us. So connect with them. It is easy. I know that, Sarah, you are an amazing coach, and you teach your clients how to do that. And there are many of us.
Yes. Beautiful. I feel so honored to have you here today, Soodabeh, and sharing your story with us also is just wow and beautiful. And I'm sure many of us want to read your book now, as I do. So I will make sure I pop the link to your book in this episode. And for those listening that would love to get in touch with you, how can we do that?
Great idea. I am on Facebook. I am on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and everything is my name, Soodabeh Mokry. And I also have a website. There are so many ways that they can connect with me,
So,
and I am more than happy to be that catalyst, that person that
yes.
get to the next level.
Oh, awesome. And I will make sure that we pop those links in the episode details. Thank you so, so much again for being here today. And thank you to our beautiful listeners. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving us a review and following for more Spiritual Catalyst episodes. Sending you so much love, and we will see you next time. Bye.